It wasn't enough. Like forget you and forget her too.
Hey everybody, I'm Felisa, and today's vlog entry is another in my Straighten Your Crown series, and it is I keep dating the same fool. So before I get into that, I want to give my disclaimer, as I always have one, which is these are my ideas, my observations, and then sometimes my rants and my commentary, and it is no way intended to be exhaustive nor the end all be all, and it's just my hope and my desire that some small nugget of what I say today or in any of my vlogs will resonate with you. You'll be able to apply that, and hopefully it will help you. And if not, I'm sorry. Anyway, so here we go. So I'm dating the same fool. So if you find yourself in situation after situation or relationship after relationship, and they all tend to have the same kind of personality at its core, and I'm not even talking about physicality. I don't mean, well, I dated a 6 foot tall person and then a 5 foot. I don't care about that. I'm talking about their orientation and their presentation. So, you tend to date bad boys, or you tend to date, guys that don't treat you very well. You tend to gravitate towards liars or serial cheaters, or, men who are essentially a project. And this goes for my guys too. You go for women who aren't particularly maternal, or they're selfish, or they're high maintenance, or whatever the case may be, and all of those things are negative character traits. They're not necessarily exclusive character traits, because I think that we all have something, right? So it's just a matter of how it's packaged and presented to you, and whether or not you can deal with it. But if each one of your relationships ends up in the same way, with you sitting at home with, your Haagen-Dazs and a pile of tissue, and your girlfriends are coming over to console you and pat you on the back because you discovered something about this guy and it feels so familiar to you, you really need to take a pause, think about what it is that you're doing, and why you're selecting these particular individuals. And again, for my guys too, your crown could be crooked. So, if you keep gravitating towards these same kind of women that give you the same kind of grief and the same kind of heartache, and it winds up the same kind of way, you're dating the same individual, which means that somewhere on the inside of you, you are drawing these people, and you are deliberately seeking out these particular personality traits. And the trick is to figure out, why are you doing that? Why are you so insistent on breaking your own heart? So Freud has a theory, or had a theory, we have a theory in psychology. It's called repetition compulsion. And really, that just means that you constantly seek out the same type of situation or scenario or personality type that caused you trauma at some point in your life. So let's say, your first boyfriend was just a cheater and a liar and just manipulative and controlling, and you were a young girl, and I'm not telling my own story at all, but you were a young girl and impressionable, or you were a young guy and you thought you were in love or what have you, and this person just just took your heart and just eviscerated it. Well, unless you deal with that trauma and that alt, or that hurt, a lot of times you kind of internalize that, and you try and figure out a way that you could have changed it, or a way that you could have made things different and created a different outcome. And a lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with you. Not really. It's that person is fragmented, that person is disjointed, that person has some stuff going on in and of themselves that don't have anything to do with you. But a lot of times we take on these projects, and we feel like we want to have, build a man or build a woman, and we're going to put them back together, and we're going to make them into what they can be. And we're just putting all this investment and all this time and energy into this person. And number one, that person never said that they wanted to be anything close to what it is that you think that they should be. So just stop it. Number two, you really are investing a whole lot psychologically into this one individual in the hopes that you get some payoff, which is why a lot of times people can't walk away when they need to, because they want an ROI. You put all this stuff into this person and it's just not paying off. It's like feeding a slot machine. I'm just keep putting this in here, and it's got to pay off at some point. Nope, just going to hold on to your money. And in this case, it's just going to hold on to your emotion, hold on to your investment, and in a lot of cases hold on to your heart, and prevent you from being able to go out and really draw healthy relationships, healthy whole relationships to you. So what do you do in that situation? If you look back over the course of your dating history or even your marital history and you find that you have consistently winded up with the same type of person, it's not them, it's you, boo. And so this is how you really start to formulate a strategy to pull yourself out of that. And you have to, number one, give some very deep, introspective looks at how you're selecting these mates. You know, like I said before, I think I said in the previous vlog, you know, ask some of your girlfriends, how do you present yourself? What do you look like? What are some of your best qualities? Excuse me. What is some of your weakest qualities? What do they see in you? A lot of times we function out of what's called Jahara's window, which I don't really want to go into a whole drawn out explanation of that because it gets very convoluted, but just imagine that there's a window and there are 4 panes. And I'm probably going to get the panes wrong, but just in one box, it's what you know about yourself and what other people know. And another box is what you don't know about yourself and what other people know. And then the third box is what you know and what other people don't know. And then what you don't know and what other people don't know. And this is kind of like the mystery box. Anyway, the whole point of that is the way that we see ourselves is not necessarily the way that other people see us, which is why you need to get good comprehensive feedback. And I'm not talking about, you know, people that want to vilify you and say, well, girl, you know, you always do this or whatever. I'm talking about good constructive criticism, good constructive insight into your behavior and how you're presenting yourself. Now, the trick to all of that is that you have to be open and receptive to hearing what it is that they have to say. If you are, I'm sorry, but if you're climbing into bed on the first meeting with guys, that might not set you up with a future if you really want to be married. I'm just being honest. Now, I'm not telling you how to conduct yourself or live your life, but I'm saying if you're sick of that scenario and that heartbreak, maybe you need to change your efforts over here. If you keep drawing guys that are emotionally absent, then you have to ask yourself why. Were you neglected? Are you accustomed to being neglected? Does that feel comfortable for you? Even though it's painful, does it feel comfortable for you? And if that's the case, then you need to work on healing for that trauma that was implemented or instituted at a very young age and that you adopted as kind of normal. If you are, you know, constantly drawn to cheaters, the cheating is not really the issue. I know, go with me. The cheating is really not the issue per se. It's the betrayal. It is the heartache. It is the disruption of trust. It is the catastrophic breakdown of your relationship where you no longer are able to function and you accept that you are not enough, because that's the message that's being sent to you. So that has everything to do with your self-esteem. It has everything to do with your value. It has everything to do with your worth, because why is this man cheating on me? So now you have to go back to the root. The root cause is not you. You are not responsible for anybody else and what they do with their genitals. You are responsible for you. So never accept the blame for someone ultimately going outside the relationship or their marriage. But what you do have to take responsibility for is, number one, whether or not you're permitting it. Number two, whether or not you are accepting it. And number three, whether or not you believe that you deserve that behavior. And if you don't believe you deserve that behavior, then you have to work to eliminate that. And you have to work to say, you know what? I deserve better. A lot of times it plays mentally and it wreaks havoc on who you are, because again, at its root, it starts stirring up all of this, I don't want to know what to call it, but kind of stirs up all of this societal fueled competition among women. Like you really are competing against this other woman for this man, when that's really not the case. You really aren't competing against her. There's a breakdown in your relationship somehow, and that's not to say that you can't overcome that. There have been plenty of couples who have worked through infidelity on both sides, that they've decided to remain together. They've decided to work that out. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of, it's a lot of effort to rebuild the trust and to rebuild the connectivity that you once had, but it can be done. And if that's what you've chosen to do with this man, then continue to do that. However, if you leave that relationship with the scars and wounds of being betrayed and you don't deal with that, you'll find yourself in another situation because there'll be triggers and all kinds of behavioral things that you'll be chasing your tail looking for. Like, oh, why didn't you call me? Why did you? Well, because you'll remember that the last guy did that, and you'll start to get in a pattern and start to have kind of this repetition of, you know, looking for things that might not necessarily be there, and then when they present themselves and you kick yourself because you just, it's crazy, girl. Don't start that. Don't go down that road. Check it now. And then, you know, finally, you know, really what I want to say is that you don't have to continue to date the same person. You really don't. A lot of it is self-introspection, being self-aware, taking good inventory of where you are emotionally. Do not jump in and out of relationships. If you find yourself needing to be in a relationship in order to be validated, in order to feel like you are wanted, in order to feel like you are complete, that in and of itself is a completely different situation and a completely different issue that you have to address. But making sure that you break the cycle, take some time to heal in between relationships, take some time to be reflective, take some time to take on responsibility for things that you may have done and contributed to in that relationship, but then also seeing very clearly what the other person has done. Release that person, let go of the toxicity, let go of the negativity, and don't immediately need to be in a relationship. Just mind your business. Go out, live life, you know, do what you do. And if somebody else should present themselves, vet them accordingly. Don't just give them the keys to the kingdom and they haven't put in any work at all. They're just running wild, and, you know, then your heart all broken again and you find yourself in the same situation. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Please leave a message below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I would really appreciate it if you share it. And then you can follow me on social media, various social media down below. Talk to y'all later. Bye.